The African impala can jump 10 feet high and 30 feet in length. Yet amazingly, when we go to the zoo or someplace to see one, we find that it could be kept in by simply a 3-foot wall. Why? Because the impala will not jump anywhere that it can't see where it will land. Unfortunately, that is often true with each of us, that unless we know how things are going to turn out, unless we know what the future holds, we are often fearful, afraid, hesitant, reluctant to take that next step, to go forward. The passage that we're reflecting on this week from Genesis 17, verses 1 through 7 and verses 15 through 16, tells one of the stories of Abraham and Sarah. In this particular passage, they are being renamed by God, and they are also being told that they will continue to carry God's word forward, that they will be the ancestors of many generations to come. And most surprisingly, they tell Sarah, in her mature age, that she is going to bear a child. Well, they have a hard time believing that, thinking that that is surely impossible. But they find that God can make anything possible as God works with God's people. May not always be the way we think it will be, may not happen the way that we hope and pray it will, but in some way God will work with us to work out things for good for God's people as we are faithful and following God. So we find that Abraham and Sarah, as they place their trust in God, as they are obedient to God, that God will do amazing things. But just like with the African impala, it means taking a risk, sometimes going where we can't see what the future holds. And so as we are obedient, we need to take risks, we need to get out of our comfort zone, and we need to make sacrifices at times, thinking of the greater good and not purely ourselves and what we want or what we see or what is good for us, but what is good for God's people and God's kingdom. And so we are challenged as we read this passage to reflect. What is it that God is calling each of us to do as we take up our cross and follow Christ? What sacrifices, what risk, what can we do to be God's faithful servant? So I challenge you this week to reflect upon that. Reflect upon what it is God has called you to do as you continue this Lenten journey in the footsteps of Jesus the Christ. God bless you and lead you forward.